Greetings, friendos. Reformed Stoic here, back with another video. So my last video was the first one in a while. Some good advice there on how to up your spiritual practice game. But now we're going to get back to the first topic in a while. I want to talk about being driven as a man. And I'm not exactly sure what it is about this topic that drew me to it. But we're just going to get into it, riff on it a little bit, and see if we learn something. So, something that you might have heard along your journey as a chud, when you're saying, I think women don't like me because I'm a chud, or, short, bald, ugly. You think women don't like you because of the way you look. At some point, some boomer comes along and is like, well, women really like in a man is drive. Women really like a man who's driven. They're not attracted to the way he looks or his money. It's the drive inside him that gets him the money. Is there anything there? Is there any reality to that? I would say so. I believe that because we all know the stereotype of like the weird guy who has money, but is just, I'll buy you anything, baby. Can I please? Like, you can't go without game. Game is very important. Never underestimate the archetype of a man in blue jeans and a white tee, baby. That's game 101. Yeah, I gamed a couple of ladies back in my day, and I can just tell you, man, if you can't do it in a pair of Walmart jeans and a white tee, you're not ready. Anyway, basically, like, the things that make up an attractive man are wit, social confidence. People say be confident. I think something that can just steer that advice a little bit in a direction that makes more sense is social confidence. Like charisma, looking like you're not out of place when you talk to a girl, There's guys, when they approach and talk to a girl, they can pick up that you never do this or you don't feel like you should be doing it. You feel like you're out of place approaching and talking to this hot girl. They can sense that. Why does our little buddy not feel at home approaching a hot girl? Because he's a chud. Okay, so that's one of the ways you can fail their shit tests. So just charisma, good looks. On some level, charisma and good looks kind of go hand in hand. And then money is a bonus. It's like when you're a good-looking guy who has charisma, is witty and funny. Because I was just talking about this earlier. Like what dating was before dating apps was your eyes meet at a bar. You just kind of look over and just your little moves, your little game. I'm trying to game you guys right now. Just that little. Am I blowing it? Am I blowing it, chat? But that's what dating used to be. You come across a girl, you do your little mating dance, and then you talk, and it's all in your smile and the way you carry yourself. What is dating now with dating sites and dating apps? It's like, hi, I work here. I make this much money and I'm this tall. It's not even really completely women's fault. Like women might not necessarily be superficial or especially superficial, but when you're in that kind of environment on like a dating app, where all these men are like, hey, I'm 6'2", I'm 5'9", I'm a carpenter, I bag groceries. Or, like when you're in that kind of environment, it really changes what it means to date. Like the whole attraction process of the, back to game in the chat. Just there could be like a whole minute. There could be a whole like couple of minutes of glancing over at this girl, waiting for her to glance at you, and just making weird little facial expressions, leading up to you, walking up to her. It's like, yeah, so, I could tell you wanted me to talk to you, so I'm here. How's it going? Just, I'm a little rusty trying to put the moves on my audience right now. But that kind of like sing, song and dance ritual, mating dance ritual has taken a hit. It still happens, but a lot of women out there, in the field, in the wild, they got their phones and they're on dating apps. And in the back of their mind is like, ooh, there's still that like 6'3" millionaire who I matched with. This guy making his weird little faces at me at the bar. It's not quite as effective because she's thinking about these guys in her phone. So what does this have to do with drive as a man? Well, I would say that the true story of being a driven male starts when you're young. In your teens. If you're not driven in high school, that's, in my opinion, means that, like, you're kind of a true blue loser. Because we're living in a weird smoke show of smoke and mirrors and deception and lies. Society is kind of a scam. The world is a scam now. And I believe it's been that way for a long time. But if you want a true measure of a man's drive, you're going to go to the youth. So you look at a high schooler and it's going to start out as like ideas and aspirations and dreams and thinking big and even just like your personality, like having a passionate interest in whatever kind of music or art or entertainment you like, Or it could be like I knew a guy in high school who he said he would take Adderall at night and work at the cannery. He'd work the night shift at the cannery and then go to school the next day. So basically he just like never slept. I mean, that's like a version of drive too. That's terrible for you. To this day, that's one of the weirdest stories I've ever heard, bro. Like, maybe he didn't work at the cannery every night. I don't know. That's so bad for you, dude. And he's kind of this little chatty kind of guy. He's not a big guy, but he beat me in. This is one of the few guys who beat me in boxing. And yeah, he'd take Adderall and just not sleep and work at the cannery and then go to school the next day. So interesting. I don't really know how somebody can make that work, but that could be drive. And, he's doing all right in life now. Like, in high school, if you just really don't give a shit about anything, and that's in line with what boomers still teach. Like, when a guy is getting the short end of the stick in high school, it's like, oh, that doesn't matter because you're driven. Those guys, those, like, popular guys that are getting the girls now, they all burn out. Like, your time is going to be in your 20s and your 30s. Those guys have no drive. Those guys don't care about anything, and as a result, they're not going to get anywhere. So that's kind of like the tried and true measure of real drive as a man. Because that's you in your natural environment. Hopefully you're not like hopelessly traumatized yet or anything. So you look at all these kids in their natural environment. This guy has no dreams. This guy has no aspirations. And by the way, like, having a job doesn't automatically make you driven. It's like, oh, I work for my dad's company, and I spend all my money to smoke blunts, and I'm a bully, and no drive. But then other people are creative, big aspirations, big dreams. So what happens is you go out into the real world, and you should be at the peak of your drivenness in your early 20s. You know, you're going through college maybe, but like 20 to 25, you should definitely be going for it. Now, what happens is life doesn't always work out. And your drive, and I think this is happening for a lot of men, like I've said many times, my channel is about taking my experience and thinking, for some reason I have this intuition that tells me that I'm not the only one who's experienced this. And I took a unique path, you know, like ultimately being a musician isn't really a viable career option in the modern world. But I was driven, and it reflected in what people said about me. You asked people about me when I was like 19, 20, 21. Oh man, you know, Jake's a really serious drummer. Like he went to a really good music school, and if anybody's gonna make it in music, it's probably gonna be him. So what happens as a man, and this kind of relates to a video I made way back when where I talked about you having like a health bar till you reach just fuck it mode. Like when life is just not paid off, and then you become bitter. I made a bunch of videos about the bitterness, how once as a man you become bitter, it's hard to not be bitter anymore. Well, that reflects in if your drive pays off. It's reminded me of a study, something about like drowning rats. And, you know, this is an example of like how sometimes I think science is disgusting, like animal experimentation. Something about like, oh yeah. If they drown the rats in a group, they all drown faster because one rat can see, or the mice, I think they use mice, not rats. When a mouse can see that these other mice aren't escaping, it gives up quicker. But when you drown them by themselves and they have no reference, they fight for way longer. I mean, how fucked up is that, dude? That they literally watch a mouse fight for its life until it drowns in like a hopeless scenario. Science! Trust the science! Like, dude, brush your teeth, bro. Like, that's to this day, you know, my viewpoint, being Protestant and then Catholic and then, you know, having weird thoughts about my faith. To this day, bro, like science just, it's not for me, bro. It's not for me, dude. I like philosophy. I like art. I like beautiful things. Watching animals fight for their life until they drown, that's just not really for me, dude. But good luck with that. So what that reflects is how it's just kind of natural to like give up at some point. And relating that study to now is that we have the internet for men to see like how other men are giving up and how men are validating the experience they're having. Because though I had a unique experience, I was the driven guy. I literally had people tell me in my mid-20s when I was living in Vegas, you know, early on in Vegas, this guy told me, it's like, bro, like, you're like really driven and it's intimidating. And of course, this is somebody who stabbed me in the back like years later. And, you know, if you ever are driven and your life doesn't go well, get ready to, because that's what happens for being driven. Like, people are jealous of you and they're rooting against you. And if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, I'm going to make it. Oh, I'm not going to make it. Oh, and by the way, everybody fucking like secretly hates you and wants you to fail. And now you have to deal with them like rubbing it in your face. And if you don't handle it well, well, then they're going to cancel you, because it's pretty hard for these people to like change the way they think about you once they already think about you. But perhaps this video is a little bit all over the place. Here's the point, guys, is that if you're not driven now, take a good look at like who you used to be, because, you know, maybe some of you aren't driven now and you were never driven. But at least know that it's understandable later in life as a man in the current world to not be driven anymore. And, you know, maybe just start by knowing that it's understandable and that it's like not your fault because a lot of things went wrong. And maybe take baby steps towards being driven again. But back to the idea of like, bucko, like women are attracted to a man's drive. Well, we're seeing it. We're living in a time now where women are more driven than they've ever been because society is cheering them on. And what you're seeing with modern women is that their drive is meeting opportunity. And I said on stream earlier today, if I would have got lucky, I was good enough to get famous. Like if my drive would have met opportunity, I could have flourished. Good things could have happened to me. Believe it or not, I could have had a phenomenal life. I was good enough. My drive did not meet opportunity. My drive met bad circumstances and bad luck and a lack of opportunity, probably some discrimination for a number of reasons. I do fully believe one of them being a white male who isn't a skinny soy boy. But women are living in a time where they have drive and they're cheered on to have drive, and their drive is meeting opportunity. And I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to put that out there. Like, if you're a guy and you're getting pep talks about how women like men who are driven, it's fully understandable for you to not be driven. And take a good, honest look at your childhood. Like, the drive shows and, like, you know, now we got all these kids like, staring at an iPad. That's all they do in their spare time. Bro, I had, like, toys, and I played weird little games with my toys, and I had, like, weird conferences with my stuffed animals, and I'd put the TV on in the background and, like, pace around my room. I did, like, genius shit. I did, like, creative genius shit. I made, like, a comic book in 4th grade. I wrote out some script for, like, a goofy story and showed it to some girl I liked. She said it was hilarious. Like, I fucking oozed creativity. And say what you will about my rap, but I've made a lot of it, dude, and not everybody thinks it's bad. It's not looking good when you say it like that, but I oozed creativity. I was like, oh, dude, you can get DAW programs. Like, dude, I'm depressed when I open a DAW now. When I open, like, whatever Reason or Pro Tools, what the hell do I even use now? Ableton? Pfft, I fucking bought Ableton and, like, never used it for anything. I use, like, Audacity, which usually people are like, oh, bro, you shouldn't use Audacity. Bro, the drive is gone. I used to feel good when I opened a DAW. It's like, wow, I can record. I can plug things into my laptop and record. I used to noodle around with that and make goofy songs and then make better songs. And it led to me becoming an indie rapper. And boyos, like, it just fucking went like shit. And I'm trying to get a second wind at 33 years old. And it's hard. And if any of you guys out there feel the same, like, bro, it's completely understandable to have no drive. You saw the other mice drowning, because we might as well live. I mean, we live in science. It's science, Chuddy. Oh, we don't need the Bible. Let's just stare at fucking rats drowning all day. That's the world we live in, dude. That's the fucking world we live in. Like, I learned through science that you're gonna drown after 10 hours of struggling. That's the world that we live in, bro. You saw the other mice drowning, and you're like, let's just fucking drown. Because I don't want to struggle for 10 hours when I live in this world run by literal fucking loony batshit scientific leftoids who are literally just trying to see how long I can fight until I give up. So I'm just going to fucking give up. I think I'm actually going to post this video. I was a little bit worried about it for a second there, but I didn't really say anything super extreme, and I think I made my point about drive. Like, I didn't really know what to say going into this, but I just had a feeling that there was some sort of a point that I could make about being driven as a man. And I think the further you go back in time, all the advice boomers give you is good. Because they're giving you advice for the world that they lived in. And the reason that boomer advice is so insufferable now is because we don't live in that world anymore. And you might have been driven, and you never really had the shot to apply that drive to a career. And let me just tell you something, and I'm talking to myself too, but for all of us chuddies listening to this, it wouldn't have been that hard. And a lot of these boomers telling you that they worked so hard because they showed up to their jobs, they enjoyed it. They enjoyed making money. They enjoyed progressing and building, doing something that they were good at and getting rewarded for it. You showed potential in your childhood. Other people saw it. Teachers saw it. Your parents saw it. Your friends saw it. And, is it just me, or like, are there a lot of men just eating a freaking bag of shitty in their 20s? Like, is it just me, dude? Or there's just some guys having a midlife crisis in their 20s? I don't even really know what a midlife crisis... There's some sort of a specific definition of a midlife crisis, and I don't think it really fits the bill for that. A midlife crisis is like realizing that you don't love your wife anymore and realizing that your kids like are fucking losers, and then like locking yourself in your bathroom at work and like getting drunk. It's like, hey, Richard, you in there? Like, what's going on in there? You've been in there for half an hour. Oh, I was just going to the bathroom, fucking 40, and I hate my kids and I hate my wife, and somebody get me out of here. That's a midlife crisis. We're reinventing the midlife crisis, and it's in our 20s, and it's like, wow, everybody told me I was really smart when I was in high school, and everybody just said, you have so much potential, and you're just gonna, and like what really happened is like Travis Barker when he stepped off of the tour bus and broke his foot right at the beginning of the tour. It's like your life is the tour, and it's like, wow, I'm gonna, and then your whole 20s is just, I can't recover. I can't recover. And I'm eating shit. And I'm becoming angry because I'm eating shit. And then there's clips of you on the internet because you were angry because you were fucking miserable and alone. Like, you're alone and miserable, and then you're angry, and then people are like, whoa, you're extreme, dude. I hate you. So, in conclusion, you probably were driven at one point, little buddy. And then life took a big diarrhea dump all over your head. And then women were like, ew, Like, women make that face. And for the record, guys, women haven't made that face at me in a long time. I'm looking good. I'm doing all right. I'm trying to get my second wind over here. But, oh my gosh, all through my 20s, women would just make that face at me like, you know, like, just for thinking about talking to them. Just like, I think maybe I'm going to talk to that girl. And she's just like, oh, no, not him. Not him. For the love of God, not him. But snap out of it, baby, because we're getting our second wind. I'm getting my second wind. And I don't know, this is a little bit of a different style of video. This is less knowing what I'm talking about and sticking to the topic, and more goofy bullshit like this. So, I don't know. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Don't worry if you're not driven. You might have been like smarter than people who were driven, and you put the numbers together fast enough to be like, I might as well just fucking chill. And maybe you saved, maybe like as a result of not trying too hard, you didn't damage yourself like other people did for trying really hard, dumping all this momentum into the trash and getting nowhere. And then, you know, just because you got nowhere, you developed some skills. You know, you developed some skills with your drive while it lasted. And just don't give up, man. Just don't give up. Life's not over. You could still be driven, even if you've never been driven in your life. And here's something to be driven for. Freedom. Like obtaining real freedom, owning land, owning property, having privacy, you know, having it be easy enough to be like, you know what, I can afford like 5 sets of nice clothes, so I can always walk around in nice clothes and I don't get accused of like wearing the same clothes every day. I can afford a car that's like not a piece of shit. So I can, you know, eventually you're driving a car that's not a piece of shit and you're wearing clothes that are all right and you're going to the gym and you're eating healthy. Because dude, men are just so underappreciated, buddy. Like, you're looking good, you're doing good, you're dressing good, little buddy. You're a good person and you deserve good things. And why the fuck didn't I make it? Oh, I'm sorry, little chuddies. Okay. You can still be driven. There's still time. Let's do it. God bless.